All right. We are live. Awesome.
Amazing.
Yay. All right.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Hello. I'm here with beautiful Nicole Jones. And we're here celebrating the International Women's Day. I want to wish, first of all, every woman there really to own and dive into and feel that beautiful energy, every aspect, every part of you, and embrace it. So we're inviting women to tune in to this beautiful conversation for the whole week. It's a week-long retreat with incredible women. So when I ponder on what is it to be an amazing woman, first of all, I want to look around me and who are my beautiful friends and sisters and the powerhouses that I have in my life. And I'm so grateful for that because that gives me a live example of that's possible. It's possible to celebrate each other, to uplift each other, to thrive, to support when we need to support each other as well. So I'm so thrilled to be out here this week with amazing women like yourself, Nicole.
Thank you so much. And the same to you, Marina. It is, I have so much respect and admiration for this wonderful initiative you put together. You are such a beautiful light and you have such a beautiful way of bringing people together. And I am honored and really proud to be here with you to kick off this 5-day retreat to help raise the feminine energy of the world. Yes, queens.
Yes. Awesome. I just want to take a minute to share a personal story about this day. I grew up in Eastern Europe, and we celebrated this holiday with my mom, with my grandmothers, and my great-grandmothers. Originally, this International Women's Day was launched by 2 women in Germany. And they were like revolutionaries and they wanted to stand up for the feminine. And that was the initial movement of this day. And as time evolved, my experience of it was like, be nice, be sweet, don't shake too many trees, don't ask too many questions, don't make people uncomfortable, just be beautiful and nice. So even like as a teenager growing up, you needed to look pretty, look nice, and be proper. So in my head, that was like the International Women's Day that was the message, is how to be nice, proper, and fit in.
Wow.
And then when I entered relationships, dating life, real life, right? Building my career, work, became a mama. I'm like, it's not always about being nice. It's not always about being nice, but about finding that truth, authenticity myself, and then excelling, like really thriving in all these areas of my life. How can I be an amazing businesswoman? How can I be, build a sisterhood with women? How can I be an amazing mom? How can I be amazing and good to myself, first of all, right? So that's why I was like, okay, who can I talk to and who are my superstars that I can bring in here this week? That people can just not only see me, but see other women like thriving and mastering these different areas of our lives, right? So thank you so much for kicking this off with me today. I want to introduce you first of all, okay?
Thank you.
Who is Nicole Jones today, right? Because you are a TV personality, and that's how we met. You were covering a segment, I think, on City Lights.
City Lights, yes. Oh my goodness,
yes. And I was blown away when you showed up to film. And I was like, who is this incredible woman?
Oh, goodness, thank you.
Yeah, you have this like celebrity, beautiful personality, and like you're all dressed up, of course, always. But you had this ability to just make everyone feel special and beautiful, and you connected with everyone in such a deep, authentic way, very like down to earth and shining bright at the same time. And that inspired me so much. And since when I've been like really in touch with you and following you and connecting with you and going out with you. So yay.
Yes, it's a lovely history that we've formed, and that's brought us here today. It's really a beautiful history and a nice story that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And this last year, and you're working so diligently on it for many 4 years now.
4 years.
4 years.
Yes.
And out here, you just birthed your baby. Okay.
I did. That is the best way to put it. This writing this book, Master of Single, I feel like is my child, that I really have birthed this into the world. And it is my work of heart and my labor of love. And I'm so incredibly proud of it. And I'm so excited to share it.
Nicole, just make, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
you're back.
sorry. Yeah, sorry.
I lost you for like 30
Yeah,
seconds.
no, I'm sorry. Today I'm really excited to make a special announcement. Can I share it now?
No, we'll keep them tuned till the end. Let's keep them hanging.
Yes, keep it
till
till the end. Okay. So stay tuned. There's a very special announcement. Yes, at the end. You don't want to miss this. So stay with us, ladies. Okay.
Awesome. And we're also going to be giving a prize at the end. So for those of you who stay till the end, Nicole's going to make her incredible one-day special announcement. And then I'm going to give out a prize for today. So how you can qualify for the prize is stay to the end, stay tuned, comment, playful out. We've got workbooks for you. If you didn't get your workbook yet for this amazing International Women's Day retreat, just type something in the comments, workbook in the comments, and our team are going to send it your way. And our topic for today is self-worth and relationships. Yes. Such a biggie for women, right? So big.
So big and so incredibly important, Marina. You know, I really, truly believe that self-worth and having a very strong sense of self-worth is the glue that holds everything else together. Okay.
Amen. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. And so on this day today, ladies, I want both ears open and grab everything with two hands, because we're about to take your self-worth to the next level. Okay. We are gonna embrace this power and this energy of International Women's Day. And we're gonna really get into a subject that I think is so important and maybe a little bit scary for some women. I was listening to you share your story, your personal story about International Women's Day. And the thing that really stood out to me was how you had one perception of what it meant, what International Women's Day meant, and how you carried those perceptions into relationships and into other areas of your life until you realized that template doesn't work in every single area of my life, of your life. And I think a lot of women don't quite understand how to really own their self-worth without the fear of being selfish, or without the fear of, people having an opinion about them owning that. And that's a big misconception that, that I think a lot of women hold on to, and maybe that prevents them from really stepping into that arena. So I really want to talk about all those things today and break it down.
Yes. Huge. You know what I'm realizing is my self-worth, like if I make it real, and that's what I'm inviting women to do this week, is really how do you apply this information, like this conversation today. I really wanted to also invite women to participate and write. There's a section for you to like really use the information and process it, really like extract it through you and like question, right? Like we're gonna stir up the conversation mentally, emotionally, and then what you take away from it, ultimately, that's what's gonna matter. And as you talk about self-worth, I am right now reevaluating my self-worth again yet. So it's not like a final destination per se, but it's more of like a continuous evolutionary process, almost.
Absolutely.
Like you can probably do this now as like you're an author now. Your self-worth is moving up that scale somewhere, and we have to constantly like redefine who we are. And when you talk about, what other people think, selfish and taking time for ourselves, it's setting a new standard for ourselves as well. Like that all comes into play. So
it does. It really does come into play. And you're absolutely right. it is imperative. It is in the onus is on us to keep checking in with ourselves, to be our own, to give ourselves that time and that effort, and to do that work. Because as we grow, as we evolve, as we progress, as we move forward in life, we're going to change. We're going to, different parts of ourselves will manifest. And so it will challenge old beliefs. It will challenge, old ideas. And it's important for us to check in with ourselves and to keep those things very sharp. You're right. My self-worth is changing, and it is an incredible change. And it is a little bit, there are moments that can be a little bit scary in change, right?
Mhm.
But there's, I'm a big advocate for change. And I'm also a big advocate for, when you change, people who really support and love you will change with you to support you.
Yeah.
And, as you change, and those who don't, want to see that change happen, those are red flags for you to identify in terms of, who are your people supporting you? What is that circle of, of energy that's around you?
Yeah. Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. Absolutely. I can relate to all of those, you know?
Yeah. But,
Um,
Marina, I think even before we talk about it, it's important to define what self-worth really means, because there are a lot of different stages of self,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
self-worth, like I said, is really, for me, the glue that brings all the other senses of self together. So
Mhm.
self-worth is really when you look in the mirror, and the first thing, without thinking about it, without judging yourself, without questioning, what is the first thing that you think about yourself or you say to yourself? That value, that you know that you are worthy and valuable of being seen, of being heard, and being loved. It's not a question, it's not a judgment, and it's not a conversation. It is a
Mm.
fact. And
Mhm.
that is our birthright. It is our
Beautiful.
birthright to be worthy.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God. I can just feel the words and the spaces in the screen. It's so good, you know? Um, so yeah, if we are to rewind it a little bit and take it back, like why do you think women don't feel worthy enough? You know,
Mm-hmm.
very often, like I very often see my sisters or my clients, go for, relationships that are like more like situationships or dead end
Yeah.
relationships. So it
Yep.
who they are and who they are attracting, it's very different. It's on different levels, and I've been there myself,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
As have I. As have I.
mm,
It's a lot of what we've learned is it comes from having done something one way and realize that's not working. That is no longer serving me, and doing the work to find a different way of doing things. So I've come from this place of low self-worth, really, struggling with owning my own power. And
mm,
it can stem from various places, maybe some childhood trauma, or maybe somebody saying things to you that you started to believe, that you started to carry, that were not yours to carry, and they
mhm,
became your beliefs about yourself. So maybe somewhere along your path that happened, and you just took it as yours, and it changed the way you looked at yourself.
mhm,
And a lot of women, sometimes it's easier for women to just play small, to
mhm,
blend in, to just be that quiet voice, or just be okay with being okay,
mhm.
and not
Absolutely.
making other people uncomfortable with their voice, their strength, and their presence. But
Yeah,
that's what we are. That's
yeah,
that's what the world needs.
yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I can so resonate with all of this because, like, that's personally, I'm watching it on such a collective level too, as
Right.
women have been like put into these labels, the little boxes, and yet we are so wild and mystical. And someone said it the other
I love
day,
the way you describe women, wild and mystic. I love
like,
I
what is a
love
great
it.
mystery? What a great
Yes.
mystery! Well, box of chocolate, you never know what you get. And yet there's a beautiful pattern to the madness, of all the right things are in place, it's
Yes.
beautiful. But because we are emotional creatures, we are creative, we are
Hmm.
matrix of life, of ideas, of all that juiciness. So I think that's why, people are attracted to that. And I
Yes.
personally think not to, like, I really honor the masculine that are the wonderful men that are in our lives, in our community as well. But I have to give voice to that is very often the old, um, the patriarchal, like the unconscious patriarchal way of seeing that
Right.
wildness is they don't know what to do with that. And there's a lot of women
Right.
who have that mentality as well, not just men. But when they haven't touched the wildness and that creative part in themselves, there's just fear or there's something that wants to repress and push that down. And then they say, okay, you're making me uncomfortable. So stay,
Yes.
stay quiet. Okay, don't shake any trees. Don't ask any questions. Just be
Don't shake
proper.
any trees. Exactly. Well, I absolutely couldn't agree more. And I think what's happening in the world right now is that the feminine power is rising. And I think it is stirring a lot of things up in women. The more we see women taking their place in the world, the more we cannot the harder it becomes for women to justify staying in the back. The more women that step into their light, into their power, into their arena, women watching
Yeah,
want to do that as well in
yeah,
their own life, in their own way. And it becomes harder to justify keeping that little voice,
yeah,
staying in the back and just being okay with being okay.
right.
And it's a beautiful thing. And more women are curious about what to do to step in, how to step into that power, what it looks like, what it feels like. The
Yeah,
curiosity
yeah,
is
yeah,
peaking. And I think it's a beautiful thing to see.
yes. So I have a personal question for you because I've
Yes,
been on
ma'am.
the journey myself too. But for you, maybe there was a moment, there was something in you that said, "This is time for me to just like shine bright. I'm done playing
Yes.
small." Was there a moment like that? Maybe with when you decided to write your book and you said, "Okay, I'm gonna just." As an author, you're coming out, right? It's like all
Yes.
your personal stories and everything, like it's so vulnerable. But I'm
Yeah.
wondering if there was one distinct moment that can maybe speak to some women where enough is enough. And like it's this lioness that comes out of the closet and just goes, I am so ready for the world. You know what I mean? I'm so done playing
Yes.
small.
Yes, absolutely. The moment that comes to mind is my last job, and I won't mention the place out of respect, but my last job before COVID, there came a moment, there came a time in that period where I really felt like I was not being seen or heard, and it was a very patriarchal system, and I was the leading lady, but still with so many boundaries and barriers and caps. And I knew what I brought to the table. I understood the value that I brought to the table, and I was seeing my value build other people's empires.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
there came a moment where I was like, this is not my life.
Wow.
This is
Mm-hmm.
not my life. This power that I have that is propelling others, particularly men, up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What would it look like if I turned that power onto me and used it to propel myself up? What would that look like? And once that seed was planted, oh girl,
Game over.
there,
I was
there was no turning back. Okay.
Yes. So that's
Yes.
that place. That's that place, the moment where we say to ourselves, we face ourselves in that mirror that you're talking about, and we say, enough is enough. I'm done
Enough is
playing
enough.
small. I'm done powering up, other people, other
Yes.
products, other businesses, and I
Yes.
want to do this for me,
Yes.
you know? And then
And then the pandemic happened. So when I one thing that I appreciate so greatly in my life is my relationship with the universe. It is the best and healthiest relationship I've ever had in my life. And I often say my next partner, he will I will look for qualities in him that I look for qualities in the universe, being there for me, supporting me, seeing me, hearing me, all of those things. Like that's a big competitor. Like he's going to have to
Yes.
rise to that bar. But all that to say is, the universe works in mysterious ways. And if there's one thing that I can put the word perfection to, it is the universe. The
Mm-hmm.
universe and newborn babies. Newborn babies are kind of perfect as well. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And when the whole pandemic started, and this was my train of thought already, I really couldn't say anything except thank you,
Mm-hmm.
because it took me out of a situation that I didn't know how to get out of
Mm-hmm.
without rocking the
Right.
boat, stirring, without all of the problems that could probably come with it, or all of the issues. I had a very important position that would have upset the whole kind of institution that I was working for. So
Mm-hmm.
even though I knew that I had reached the end of my rope, I didn't know how to get out of it.
That's
And
it.
so the pandemic came and said, well, in my own little way, it was like a gift. And
Mm-hmm.
in that gift, I looked for the blessings. And that's when I found time to really, get serious about finishing my book and finding a publisher and starting to build my own little empire. It
Beautiful.
was a beautiful synergy that came together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Um,
Yeah.
I have a question for you. So, oh my God, I'm losing my train of thought for a second. Um, so, like, once we take that decision, and I love how you're talking about the universe, how there's a perfection in there that's happening for us. And I love using that word that life is not happening to me, but it's happening for me. And we
Absolutely.
can just rephrase that for ourselves. And any challenge, any frustration, any triggers, any discomfort that we're going through can actually point us in the direction
In the direction.
or the opposite direction of that. But how
Yep.
can we feel better? Where do I want to go? Right. So,
Right.
but once we take that decision for ourselves, it's like, okay, enough is enough. This is the direction where I want to go. I want to more invest into myself. How do you deal with the challenges along the way with, you know, often it's people that love you, but they want to keep
Mm-hmm.
you safe. They go, oh my God, what do you mean you're going to be, an author and you're going to go public with your life? That must be so scary. People are
Yes.
going to probably, attack you, or they're going to judge you. Don't you want to do
Absolutely.
this? Right? So
Yeah,
what
absolutely. Bring
you
it
give?
on.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
So a couple of things on that. So one thing that we should really be always mindful of is how external factors influence or impact our decision making and our willingness to take chances. External factors, if we let them, will hold us down, will keep us small,
Mhm.
and will prevent us from really going forward in the way that we know we want to.
Mhm.
So, yes, all of those things exist. All of those possibilities are in the world, with putting a book out there that reveals very candid parts of my life, very vulnerable parts of my life. I'll tell you, Marina, my mom, may she rest, who is my hero, my heart, my guiding light, my angel. Um, the whole time I was writing this book, I felt my mom's presence, like right here on my shoulder or right here on the shoulder, either one. She was always there. And so many times I could hear her voice saying, Nicole, are you sure you want to write that? And I could hear it, right? And I would just keep writing, and I would laugh to myself while I'm writing. And I would talk to her out loud, and I would say, no, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna put it anyway. And
Mhm.
and that is being able to have the courage of your convictions. I know that not I cannot please everybody, but at the end of the day, the most important thing for me is to please myself. I need to look in the mirror when I wake up in the morning and when I go to bed at night. I need to look in the mirror and I need to be proud of the decisions that I've made for myself. and everything else, and know that everything else that will come with my decisions, I can handle it. I can handle it.
Yeah. So,
So, it's like this dance. It's a
yeah.
dance you do with yourself.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you is like almost like daring to make that step to go out there, follow the calling, follow what feels really true and right to you, and daring. So push that envelope a little bit. But then what I'm also hearing, you're dancing with the creation itself, and you're probably getting feedback. Does this feel good? Oh my God,
Exactly.
this feels really good.
Yes.
And probably hearing from people when you're sharing that piece is like, can give us feedback as well.
Yes.
So I think that's the piece of like, I get this question asked very often is like, how do we build confidence? How do we just, be confident in all these areas of our life? And it's by practicing, right? It's constantly
yes.
like
It's constant. It's constantly practicing. I think one of the first steps, and this is a really important one, is forgiveness. It's forgiveness for anything that potentially has, or anyone that has hurt you. Forgiveness to yourself for having waited so long to move forward. Whatever it is that you need to forgive, to let go, that you're holding on to, that doesn't serve you. Yeah. And we all know secretly what those things are. If we really are honest with ourselves and we really sit with ourselves, we know what things we need to let go of, and we know the things and the people we need to forgive, not for them, but for us, in order for us to move forward. Number one, forgiveness.
So good.
And then accepting yourself. This is such a big, big, big one. Having no more judgment about yourself, embracing your quirks, or your funny laugh, or your like whatever it is that makes you, accepting it with no judgment. Those two things, just those two things. If you can already achieve those two things, you are already off to the races. Okay. Yeah. You have already done yourself such an amazing service. And not only for yourself, but doing this work, it helps everybody else around you. It allows you to better love the people that love you. So really, I would start with that, and to obviously be good to yourself and take care of yourself, and have practices of self-care and self-affirmations and mantras that really are, designed for you, and that you practice. There is perfection, perfectly imperfect perfection in practice.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And we're never always going to get it right. And that's fine. That's fine. Good. Because in those times we get it wrong, we have something to learn from. We have something to grow. We have a place to move forward from.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that was the piece that, like, in the workbooks, and that the questions you prepped up for the women was like, I think that's where it starts, is like with number one is like, when you look in the mirror, having this conversation with yourself, what are some of the pieces that I'm like, I love about myself, physically, emotionally, mentally, who I am in the world, but what are some of those things that are still kind of like, a little tight, or I don't like, we judge in our own self. So that's where I find the forgiveness piece can come in and be like, ooh, how can I bring more empathy, more compassion?
Yes. Open that space in your heart for yourself. Empathy, compassion. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to throw that out and invite our, the women that are tuning in with us today, like, share in the chat. What are some of the things when you look in the mirror? What are the things that you see?
Yes. And what are the things that you say? What are the things that you say? Because I think it's really important to also explore our internal monologue. What we put into our subconscious mind, we don't realize how incredibly powerful that is. Yeah. Our subconscious mind is really where we live from. Yeah. Our conscious mind is very linear. It's like, okay, move this here, do that, go forward. But our subconscious mind is really where we plant what we really believe.
Right.
And so it is so
Mhm.
important to examine what our internal monologue is. What, when nobody's looking or nobody's listening, what are you saying to yourself?
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think that's the other piece of the questions that you had is like how to build that romantic relationship with oneself, right? The third question is
Yes.
like
Oh,
maybe,
oh, you just gave me shivers. Oh my God.
all right, please, girl,
Yes.
bring it on, bring it on.
It,
So how do you build that romantic relationship with yourself
yes.
when we
So,
notice
you
those
know,
places
being
that are
in
tight?
relation, right. Being in
Mhm.
relationship with yourself as a single woman, and I talk about this. This is really the premise of Master of Single. It is about being in relationship with yourself. I am a lover through and through, and I love love. In the meanwhile, until my person arrives, which there is no rush, I am enjoying living this single, beautiful life by design. Okay. This time is precious and it is mine to design accordingly to how I want to live it. And being in relationship with yourself can be very scary for some people. You know, I once heard this saying that most people, the thing that people fear more than being in a bad relationship is being alone. Oh, and that stuck with me because it blew my mind. I was like, let me think about that for a minute. Most people would rather be in a bad or toxic or unhealthy relationship than be alone
Mhm.
with themselves.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
that is such a powerful thing, and I think a lot of women, particularly, will stay in that place because it's scary to be with themselves and not have that sense of self-worth, that sense of
Mhm.
self-love, that sense of self-acceptance. So
Mhm.
developing these things, like we said, forgiveness, wanting first the wanting to be in a relationship with yourself, having that curiosity, having that drive, having that love for yourself first is where it needs to start, right?
Mhm.
You need to want to be in a relationship with yourself in order to take the steps to understanding what it is to be in a relationship with yourself, right?
Mhm.
And there's an amazing saying from Marianne Williamson, who's just one of my favorite writers, and I wrote it down here because I just love this, and it's just a little part of it. She says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure."
Mm.
And this just always resonates so truthfully to me. It is scary sometimes to see how powerful we are, but that is your responsibility. It is your power, is your responsibility. And the
Mhm.
onus is on you to get into that relationship with yourself.
Mhm.
And everything else and everyone else will follow.
Yeah.
Trust and believe the universe will figure all of the rest out for you.
Mhm.
If you getting into a relationship with yourself, for me, is the first part of being able to be a good partner to somebody else,
Mhm. Beautiful.
so that you don't go into a relationship looking for that validation in your partner. That is, I think, a relationship sabotage.
Yeah.
You set yourself, your partner, and your relationship up to fail coming into it with that hole that you're looking to have filled by someone else. That is
Mhm.
not their responsibility. It is
Yeah.
yours. It is
Beautiful.
ours.
Oh my God. We have someone that says this quote just gave me shivers. And it gave me shivers too.
Oh,
When you read that, it gave me shivers.
it's a beautiful quote. Marianne Williamson.
Mm.
It's a wonderful quote, and it's longer than that. And I really encourage everyone to go take a look at that full quote. It's just so beautiful. You will never forget it. When you read it once, you will never forget it.
Yeah. Guess what? The universe worked it in such way. We already have it in our workbook.
Yes. You
Yeah.
see that?
Yeah.
Perfect.
But let's
Good.
unpack that. There's so much that you just said there. It's
Yes.
like, why in the first place is it so scary for us to be great, be good with that greatness, with that
Yeah.
amazing partner, amazing life,
Yeah.
amazing career? Like as I'm growing,
Yeah.
Nicole, honestly, between us, like I encounter these places of fear. I'm like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, we're growing to the next level again. And it gives me this contraction. It gives me this like, oh my God, I'd rather be comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
but then life just pushes me to the next level and the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So I can really resonate with that piece of, you
Mm-hmm.
know, playing small is comfortable.
Yeah,
So for me to
absolutely.
grow even like into a conscious relationship, it just requires so much more. It's like I'm not just growing in one area, but it pushes like all of my
It
dimensions.
challenges all
Oh,
of the facets of you.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So what is in there for us? Like, why are women so scary about it? What's the fear, the
You
deepest fear
know,
underneath that?
yes, the deepest fear, our deepest fear. Well, I think, for everybody, it's might be a little bit different, right? I think it really depends on a lot of variables, what your upbringing was, what you were programmed with.
Mhm.
This is this is this is this is really key. What is your programming? What is your internal monologue? Where do you come from? That what was fed to you? What was put into you that
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah.
you just kept holding on to? And even when we do the work, you'll notice, like you were saying, you're a phenomenal woman, and even you can have those triggers, right? Those
Mhm.
triggers that will remind you of places that you've worked your way out of already, right? That will bring you back. And I think that's very healthy because it means you're very connected to yourself and you're willing to see those things and you're willing to go to those places. It might be scary, but it doesn't prevent you from going to them, exploring them, and taking the whatever the lesson is in that for you to grow to be able to move on, right?
Beautiful.
um I really think rewriting your script, and I'll come back to this, our internal monologue
Yeah.
is something that we're not always aware of. We're not always aware of what we're saying to ourselves and what we really believe about ourselves. So I think rewriting that and way of creating new mantras, new practices for ourselves to
Mhm.
strengthen
Mhm.
our foundation, to strengthen our inner core,
Mhm.
and to really just allow ourselves to see ourselves without the noise, without the distraction, without the expectations. Just be. Just
Mm.
be still with yourself and see what comes up.
Yeah.
And don't
Yeah.
be afraid of whatever will come up. Have the courage to want to work on those things that do come up.
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know it you're
Amazing.
not alone. You're
Mhm.
not alone. There's no one out there that's alone. We It happens to the best of us, and it will
Mhm.
continue happening. There is no perfect end game to this. It is a journey. It
Yeah.
is the journey, and the onus is on you to take that journey. Be brave.
Beautiful.
Take it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. And I think
Yeah.
that's in your other question is like just like questioning, examining these external factors about our story. What's the old story? What are some of those things and messages that
Right.
we grew up with? And then, like looking, I often say this, like, we don't know, like we won't know how to get somewhere unless we really, really know and we can be honest with ourselves. Where are we at now?
Yes.
Program that into our GPS system.
Where are we at, and
Where?
where is it we want to go?
Yes, yes,
And,
yes.
I think also it's worth mentioning, looking at your circle, the people around you,
Mhm,
your support system, being able to acknowledge when there's, you know, somebody or something holding you back in that circle.
mhm,
We are a reflection of the company that we keep. You know,
mhm,
if it's important to find that those positive connections, those connections that are going to support you, like I said before, that are going to change with you. Because the truth is, a lot of people resist change. And when you start to change, people start to get nervous around you because might mean they have to change as well. Right. And that makes
mhm,
them uncomfortable.
mhm,
To make you comfortable, it makes them uncomfortable.
mhm,
But
mhm.
that's a them problem.
Yeah.
That's a them problem, right? And anybody And anybody who really loves and really wants you to be the best version of yourself will support whatever changes you need to make in order for yourself to get there. That's really important, to be brave enough to look around and be like, okay, who have I surrounded myself with? Do I surround myself with people who confirm these negative beliefs about myself and are comfortable keeping me comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
do I surround myself with people who are doing their work and really want me to be the best version of myself? We
So,
become a reflection of that.
yeah, yeah. So true. That's what they say, right? You are the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. So I tell the people,
Absolutely.
look at your phone, look at your last 5 text messages. Who are the people that you are most in contact with?
Hmm.
And ask yourself, am I growing with them? Am I inspired by them? And for sure,
Absolutely.
our environment dictates
And
who we
is it
really
is
are.
it balanced? Is it balanced?
Mm.
Is what you're putting in, is it the same thing that you're getting out? All of these things add up to our self-worth. I'm worth having a system of support around me that loves and cares about me. I'm
Mm.
worth doing the work. I'm worth the courage it takes to figure out, why am I stuck? Why am I staying small? You are worth doing that work. You're valuable. Your value is not you. Your value is what you determine it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the bottom line. Your value is what you determine it to be. So put your value at the top of the list and just see what happens. See what happens. See how the energies and the people change around you.
Right, right. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh my God, it's so packed. Oh, so much goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um,
Yes.
all right. Um, any extra, like anything else that you really want to share with us
Um,
today, like closing thoughts?
yeah. So I think we talked a lot about external factors, and I think it's something to be very mindful of, because they are very powerful. These messages, these subliminal messages we often get as well, right? Like social media. It really impacts a lot of the way that we see ourselves, that we feel about ourselves, standards that are just not realistic to attain. All of these little things, it's all about the detail. The devil's in the details, right? So all of these things, other people's opinions, social media, our personal achievements, our possessions, our affluence, our status. These are all things that play into and challenge us in terms of our self-worth. At the end of the day, I'll tell you something. I actually wasn't going to talk about this, but there have been times in this pandemic where I have been so challenged, particularly financially. Okay. It has changed my world completely, from a place where I began building traction in my life, building security, building stability. And like many people, that rug was pulled out from under me without even an opportunity to prepare for it. And all of the sudden, all of that traction, all of that work, all of that, everything that I was building finally was gone within a couple of months. And I was like, okay, all right, this is interesting. This is, whoa. And let me tell you, the one thing that didn't change is me. My circumstances, everything around me changed. But the one thing that didn't change is me. And when I looked in the mirror, I still saw one of the richest women I know. So I did not, and I was so aware of that. And I was so proud of myself for being able to rise above my circumstances, because I am not the sum of my circumstances. And my circumstances are not the sum of who I am. They are circumstances, and they will change every day. the constant in all of that is who I am to myself. And that got me through. It was the gift I gave myself. And it's gotten me through this pandemic as a single woman with my dog for 1 year, locked down in my apartment. It got me through, because all of the sudden, all of the things that I thought mattered were gone. And what I was left with was who I was looking at in the mirror. And I was like, I love you. I love you, girl. I'm not going to let you down. And regardless of what my financial institution looked like, my universal bank was full.
Wow. Wow. That's huge what you're sharing right now.
It's huge.
Because we put our, value on the outside circumstances, the image, the partner. Who are you dating? Who are you with? What's your,
absolutely,
allowing our bank account define who we are, our, where we live, who we hang out with. And ultimately, none of those things really matter. I mean, they beautify our life and they make it comfortable and enjoyable, right? But ultimately, if we keep on holding on to these aspects, they fluctuate. They come and go.
And what happens if they're taken away from you? Who are you?
Right. And they also get old on us. It's like you can get yourself some beautiful clothes or, makeovers, and then like even breast implants, like women do that. A few months later, they feel like shit again about themselves. It's like, well, why is that? Where is that?
Because you're trying to fill something that you haven't healed. You haven't really dived into. And these are all things that just kind of mask what you're trying to avoid. And I'll tell you, to add to that story, in this particular position that I was in, it was a very, let me say, like hooty tooty type of place. Okay. And I realized, and I didn't even know, I don't think I quite realized it when I was in it, but I was allowing myself, knowingly or unknowingly, to become a product of my environment. All of the sudden, my labels had to be of a certain brand. My the way I looked had to fit the environment I was in. I started becoming a product of my environment, spending money on things that Nicole would never care about. Okay. And let me tell you, after when this whole thing happened, and I'm looking at those things collecting dust.
Right.
Oh my goodness. I am like, who was I?
Yeah.
Who was I really? What happened to me? And so it really just felt so good to let everything that no longer served me, let it go. Yeah. Just let it go. And in this time, I've been able to just really be myself with no outside influence, no pressures, no expectations, no status quo, no nothing. Just Nicole.
Wow.
And guess what?
Yourself.
Loving myself. And guess what? I haven't worn any of that stuff. I haven't even taken it out since. So what I know is that Nicole didn't need it.
Yes.
I was good enough on my own.
Wow. Yeah. That's the biggest test. I find like that's the biggest test when, that rug is pulled under our feet, is ultimately like what's left, who has Pema Chodron, when I was going through a separation in my life, and everything was crumbling. And she has this book that's called When All Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron. And it's like these little bricks that we hold on to, what can keep my identity in place? What can keep my ego or identity alive? The house, the car, right? Clothes, right? Friends.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Parties, all that. And then all these things go like crumbling little by little. And she just says, you got to let it all go. And ultimately is when there's none of those things, and they all fall apart. Who are you really? Can we still face ourselves? Can we still, before loving ourselves, can we at least not judge ourselves? Be okay with who we are, right? Before love is a spectrum, right? We're going to talk about this tomorrow. And the spectrum of emotions and love. But before loving ourselves dearly throughout all of that, can we at least not judge ourselves and face ourselves, hold that
Yes,
space for ourselves, like if we were holding a child, right? Like,
absolutely.
you'll be okay, mama, you know? Um,
Absolutely. You know, I have become so good. I had become so good at m- allowing other people to shine, way of shining my light on them and allowing them to shine, which was a pleasure for me. I'm not complaining. That was a pleasure for me. That was a choice. It was something I knew I did very well. And that's why I often was hired to for certain positions, because I brought this special gift to the position and to the room and to the place where I could shine my light on other people. But what I wasn't realizing was that in doing that, I was standing in the shadow while I was shining my light on other people. And I was like, there's something off here. At the end
mhm.
of the night, when I feel exhausted
Yeah.
because I haven't taken anything for me and I've
Mhm.
just given, and so many people are happy. But what am I left with? And then I go back and do it again the next day.
Mhm.
There came a point where I was like, something is off. It doesn't feel right anymore,
Wow.
you
Yeah,
know. And I think that is a point where you get to that point, and that's where you're like, okay, what do I need to change? And that's where you start doing the work. That's when you
right.
start examining yourself and deep diving into, why am I feeling like this? And
Beautiful.
you know, I think that's such important work for everybody to do.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that becomes that way to measure, how do a little check in and check in with ourselves, like how am I
What you're
feeling?
giving out versus what you're getting back. It's a
Yeah,
very important balance to have,
right. Yeah, yeah.
because we are what worthy. Yeah. We are worthy of the same love and respect and light that we give.
Yeah,
We are worthy of it ourselves. We are worth being respected, loved, seen, and heard. We
yeah,
are worthy. It is our birthright. It is not
yeah,
something we need to ask permission for. It is
yeah,
our birthright.
yeah. Who said that? We gotta pull the chair to the table, right? Ourselves. Get a folding chair
Yes,
and pull it. Yeah, put it there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And not be afraid, not be afraid of what other people's opinions are going to be
Yeah,
about that. I think that's a big one for women, especially, not to be afraid of what other people's opinions are going to be when you take, that step into your arena, that step into your light, that
that's
step
right.
into your power. Everyone's going to have an opinion. The most important opinion that matters is yours.
Beautiful, beautiful. I have this saying also saying that when, in conscious communication and stuff, like when we say a lot of yeses to everybody else and it doesn't feel good, like sometimes like that balance that you're talking about, that you feel like you're giving,
Yeah,
giving, giving, and you're not necessarily like nurtured in return.
right.
Um, Sometimes the saying that we have there is saying by saying no to someone, we're actually saying yes to
Saying yes to
ourselves.
ourselves.
So
Yes.
sometimes when those if it places come, and like the conversation comes, someone asks you for this or that, and you feel like, wow, that's too much, just pausing there for me and like
Right.
saying, you know what, it's a maybe, let me think about it, or just saying, I can't do this right now. And
Right.
noticing how does that feel, because we're really like
Yes.
saying no so often, right? And
Oh
we
my goodness. The first time you do it, you might be sweating, shaking, freaking out. But you know
mm-hmm.
what? The more you practice it, the more you're going to embrace it, the more it will become your strength and not your weakness. I love what you just said. And it's something that I used to be a people pleaser growing up. I never wanted to say no to anyone. I would do anything anybody would ask me to do. And my mom would watch me and she'd be like, girl, she was like, you are going to run yourself ragged trying to please everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
she told me, she said, listen, it's because she was also a giver. She was also a giver, and she was a nurturer, and she was a caregiver for so many children. And she told me, she said, listen, you want to help people, do it. Go ahead, help as many people as you want, but make sure that it feels good for you to help them. If it doesn't feel good, then don't do it. If it makes you feel good because you're able to, you have the time, it's not compromising you, it's not taking away from your life, and you can help someone, then do it.
Beautiful.
And I
Yes.
was like, okay, that was the beginning of my mindset reset.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good. All right. One more thing. I know we're going to be
Yes.
like wrapping up in a few minutes. Um, also like what's coming up for me is as we talk about the value, right? Self-worth and value. And this can be external values, external factors.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I'm thinking about the internal factors. What are some of our internal values? Like if the car and the bank account and the partner and all that stuff that's on the outside facade does not equal who we are, then what are some of those valuable things maybe internally that matter to us?
Being lovable,
Mm-hmm.
being compassionate, being empathetic, the things that maybe you can't put a financial value to.
Right. Right.
Right? I think
Yeah.
those are the core things that should be of the utmost importance. And I also want to mention one thing before we wrap up. Being able to identify when you are in a pattern of low self-esteem. Being able, because first, to achieve self-worth, you need to be able to identify when you are experiencing low self-worth, right?
Beautiful.
And
Yeah.
so that's very important. So maybe examples of anxiety, depression, feeling really just not worthy. These
Mm-hmm.
are things that are triggers and identifiable points that you might be in a bad pattern of low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that can lead to, particularly in this time of pandemic, that can easily lead to things like depression and mental illness. And that's why it's so important to build this foundation for yourself, to be able to counteract all of these things that the world is throwing at us right now as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, one thing that is
And
done that. Mhm.
disrupt the patterns.
Beautiful. And that's what's happening is like we don't have, any distractions to go to, like the clubs, the restaurants, hangouts, activities. So we are
Exactly.
facing ourselves and our loved ones very often. If we're living with someone, we are faced to look deeper and re-examine those relationships. I
Absolutely.
love that. I want to almost like phrase that, extract that into one question, maybe for women, because
Sure.
after every day, we want to leave them with like one question that will invite them all to share. And I don't know, it could be something around like, what is that like self-worth, or what is that aspect of yourself that you've grown out of, or that is triggering to you that, we're feeling kind of like that needs some change, or something is ready to change there, that we can
Right.
leave with.
So the definition of self-worth is the definition of self-worth. It is your ability to know inherently that you are worth being loved, respected, seen, and heard, that you are valuable, way of simply being born into this world. So I ask you, ladies, to ask yourself, on your spectrum of everything happening in your life, where is your self-worth? Where is it? And be honest with yourself. Be very honest with everything else that you're going. If you have a husband, if you have kids, you have a dog, you have a job, you have a house to manage, where is your self-worth in all of
Mm-hmm.
that? And
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself if you're okay with where that is.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Mm-hmm.
you're not, let's start doing the work
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
it to a place where you are content with it, pleased
Mm-hmm.
with it,
Mm-hmm.
that it is
Beautiful.
yours. Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Marina.
so honored
And
to
thank
have
you,
you
ladies.
here.
Happy, happy, happy day.
Yay! Drum roll. So we're gonna post all the good stuff in the group, and
Fantastic.
the question for today, and then we're gonna take the people who are answering those questions. The price that I'm gonna offer tomorrow, we'll announce it, is the ceremonial cacao for
Oh,
the queens,
love.
the drink for the queens. So if you're
That's
participating,
fantastic.
yeah, we'll announce that tomorrow. And Nicole, I would love to ask you, is your announcement for us
Oh my gosh,
today?
girl, I am so excited about this. So, just before we started this interview, I got the call from my publishing company to let me know that today The Kindle and Kobo version of Master of Single is available immediately. Immediately. You can get it today. The
Amazing.
paperback and the hardcover are coming later in this week,
Yeah.
probably between Wednesday and Friday. But if you can't wait one more day,
Right.
the
Yes.
Kindle and Kobo versions are available immediately today.
I'm so happy for you for this announcement.
Oh my gosh. Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you
How
so
perfect
much.
is the universe, right? How
Oh,
incredible this is.
I
Um,
I have
yeah.
no words. I have no words. I am constantly grateful. Literally constantly living in a bubble of gratefulness. I just
Mhm.
am. It just, and
Yeah.
like I said before, the external factors are always going to change, but the one that is going to be the constant is what's happening right here.
So good.
And I am just
So good.
constantly grateful. So we're
Yeah.
here. It's available
I'm
today. It's
awesome.
crazy.
I'm just going to ask our team to post the link for Nicole's book, Master of Single, in the chat so women can
Thank
go check
you.
it out and order their
Thank you.
copy and get on
Enjoy the
their way.
ride, guys. Enjoy the ride.
And you know what? I was thinking about it. Even like, I'm in a committed partnership, but
Mhm.
I would be
With a
so interested.
wonderful man. He's so nice. Oh my goodness. He was in the last retreat, and I was so happy to have a chance to meet him and to hear him. And he's
Right.
just wonderful. What a
He
beautiful
is
couple you
amazing.
make.
He is amazing, and I'm blessed. But your book and the conversations like I've been tuning in from your book is questioning. It had my brain like turning and the wheels turning here to keep on questioning my self-worth and redefining myself, no matter whether I'm in a relationship, but I am still the primary single woman, like the first, persona here. It's me with
Right.
myself, right? Who am
Yes.
I before I come into a partnership? Before I put on the mama hat on and tend to my
Absolutely.
kid and go into work. But it's like, just deepening into that conversation. Who am
Right.
I? How am I growing? Where's my
Right.
self-worth, self-care, all that good stuff.
I love that, Marina, because you are in a relationship with your partner, you are in a relationship with your child, you are in a relationship with yourself. We are not one faceted
Hmm.
being. We are
Yeah.
multifaceted, and we are in many relationships, and that's a great way of looking at it. How is your relationship with your partner, with your children, with yourself? All relationships matter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it starts with us, right? It
It
starts
starts
right
with
here.
this. Yes,
Amazing.
absolutely.
Nicole, thank you so, so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. Thank you,
Thank you so
everyone, for tuning in
much.
with us.
Thank you.
Keep on, we're kicking it off this week. We're going to build on this conversation more. So keep on tuning in. And thank you,
Thank you
Nicole,
so
so
much.
much.
And I'm sending amazing vibrations. I'm going tomorrow for my surgery, so I don't think I'll be on the retreat call tomorrow, but I send all of my good vibrations to all the ladies coming up for the rest of the week, and I can't wait to join the rest of the talks.
Sending you so much love,
Thank
light,
you.
and celebrating the
Thank you.
amazing woman, the queen that you are. And I'm
Thank
so,
you
so
so
grateful
much.
for your presence.
Thank you, Sister Star.
Mwah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies.